Let's build today a great mid-range gaming PC on the newest components which you can actually buy. Hey guys, I'm advertarsik, and in this video I will show you how I built an Intel 11th gen system which is powerful enough for all recent games on ultra settings and QHD resolution. As always, I will show you all the components which I chose, we will assemble it and of course benchmark in the games such as Cyberpunk 2077, GTA 5, Shadow the Tomb Raider and more. Smash the like button, it's really important guys, make that thing turn blue. And with that said, let's get started. Okay guys, so let's start with the CPU. As you can see, it's a Core i5-11400F. That means that the processor is without integrated graphics, which is like a cheaper option than a normal one. So as we are going to use an external GPU anyways, that's the best solution you can buy actually for this amount of money. It's a 6 cores 12 threads processor without any overclocking, but still it's a great solution for gaming and it gives you a great performance for the money you invest in it. Okay, actually it comes with a box cooler, which is kinda useless actually. It's a good looking, it's like a new black colored tiny cooler with a small fan, but still it's not enough for this CPU. Yeah, of course, for a first time you can actually use it, but it's better to use something more beefy. For example, this air cooler from Xylence. It's pretty budget friendly and good enough. It comes with 3 heat pipes, 120mm fan with RGB lighting, which is important. It gives you more FPS in the games. Yeah, and yeah, it's pretty good looking and the cheap solution. Of course, later in the video we will test the PC. I will show you the temperatures of the processor and the graphics card, and you will see everything how it performs. Next step is our motherboard. It's an interesting solution because this chipset is new for Intel. For these Rocket Lake processors, Intel finally give us an option to overclock your RAM, your memory, on chipsets which are lower than Z590. On this B560MA from Asus Prime, you can actually put RAM with higher speeds than before. For example, let's unbox it and check this out. Okay, it's also a budget motherboard without crazy features, but it have everything we need. So here you have 4 DIMM slots for RAM. We are going to use only 2 of them with this sticks from T-Force. It's Extreme A RGB. Actually, I'm not recommending you to buy this kind of RAM, which is extremely expensive for this type of build, but I just took what I have right now in my hands. I recommend you to buy something cheaper, without RGB lighting or crazy design. I will put the links to all the components which I recommend to buy from Amazon down in the description. You can check this out. But yeah, today we are going to use this RAM. It's 2 sticks of 8GB with a speeds of 3600 MHz. So before you couldn't use this type of speeds on this type of motherboards, but now you can. Oh, and of course, for the storage, we are going to use this NVMe SSD from Western Digital. It's called SN550, and the capacity of this puppy is 1 TB, which perfectly fits our build. Let's go next to the GPU, which is like really interesting. You probably know about the shortage and the graphics cards prices are extremely high, but still, called Tough Gaming AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT. It's pretty easy to find it nowadays when I'm filming this video. I don't know what is going to happen next, but right now you can find this graphic card for its triple recommended price, but still you can find it. And other graphics cards like RTX 30 series, it's just impossible to find, but maybe same will happen with this kind of GPUs as well, which is very sad. Let's clarify. To this PC, you can put whatever GPU you want. Actually, it depends only on your budget. You can put another component the same, and the graphics card, maybe you will find something cheaper or just something which will be available. AMD graphics card doesn't matter. You can use whatever you want, but today we are using this thing. Actually, it's an amazing GPU with remarkable air cooling solution. So you can see here 3 fans, a big radiator with a lot of heat pipes. As you can see, on this side we can see 6 of them. So yeah, there is no problem at all with temperatures with this graphics card. For the video outputs you get 1 HDMI and 3 display ports. And as a power solution you need to connect here 8 plus 8 pins from the power supply. And as we started talking about power supply, let me show you a great product. It's a Gigabyte PSU P650B power supply. The name just says everything. It's a 650 watts power supply with 80 plus bronze certification, which is actually pretty good and as always budget friendly. It has DC-DC converters, so it's a real 650 watts, not like in other power supplies, for example. And yeah, as you can see here inside, it also has a great design, smells like Chinese paint, but it's good. For real. I have already tried it in other builds and I can actually recommend it to you. And the last component is of course a PC case. That's a deep cool case called Matrix 40, mid-tower with a great airflow. Let me show you. It has front mesh panel with 3 fans pre-installed, 1 on the back, 2 in the front for the intake and 1 outtake. Here you can see a glass panel, so you will see all your components when your PC is running. If you have an RGB lighting, for example, it will look just amazing. And yeah, it supports M80X motherboards, as we are using today. As standard, you install your power supply down here, so yeah, it's just a normal, good looking and not that expensive PC case. So let's build the PC in this case. Let's go, actually. As always, we start with the CPU installation. Open the socket by pulling the metal arm up. Next, find the golden triangle on the processor and the same triangle on the motherboard. Carefully put the CPU inside there and secure the socket by pulling the metal arm back down. Next step is to install the cooling solution. There is a special metal backplate which came with the cooler, so it goes to the other side of the socket. Now you should apply a small portion of the thermal paste and safely put the cooler on top of the CPU. I recommend you to tighten the bolts crosswise, the pressure will be distributed evenly like this, which is great. Now we just connect the cables and that's it. It's time to install the RAM. Normally for the dual channel mode we want to install the memory sticks to the 2nd and 4th DIMM slots. Just open the slots with your finger and install the RAM until you hear a click. Going next, it's smart to install the M.2 drive. Here's our NVMe SSD. So to put it in its place, you just unscrew the radiator, stick the drive in and install the radiator on top of it. Done. Let's go further. Actually, we finished already our platform, so it's the chassis turn. Firstly, let's install the PSU with the air intake pointing down. Also, don't forget to install the I/O shield, if not, it will be very sad later. When it's in place, you can finally fix the motherboard. Few screws and it's good to go. There is almost nothing left. Connect all the cables from the power supply and the front panel of the case and you can install the last component of this build, the GPU. As you can see, it's so big it barely fits, but that's okay. I secured it with 1 screw and connected the 8+8 pin power. The PC is awesome and ready to rock. Let's test it, guys. Now let's see how the PC shows itself in real gaming in popular games. Let's start with Fortnite, Battle Royale mode. This is the maximum setting that can be set in this game. Quality configuration epic. Frame rate limit is disabled. So, in the upper left corner, you can watch all the monitoring, CPU load, its temperature as well as consumption in watts. I have never measured this indicator in tests, so I decided to add it too. Also, if you go down one line below, you can also see the consumption of the graphics card. At GPU line, two indicators can be observed. The first is the frequency of the GPU core, and the second, which is to the right, is the speed of the GDDR6 memory. The game went very well. An average FPS around 110 is provided to you in the fortnight with this PC. Let's go next. Cyberpunk 2077. The resolution is 2560 by 1440 pixels. The settings are the highest and the texture quality is high as well. Having driven around the city a little, even if you don't look at the monitoring, you will notice a rather smooth and playable gaming experience. I would not even worry to put down the graphics settings. By the way, temperatures are also within normal limits. RX 6700 XT cooler is doing its job, and I managed to heat up the Core i5 to 70 degrees Celsius only. From this we can conclude that a cooler with 3 heat pipes is sufficient to cool this CPU. Cinebench R23. Let's take a look at the performance of the processor in synthetics. I took two measurements, single core and multi-core. In multi-threading the result knocked out 10,288 points, which is quite good for 6 cores i5 even compared to older 8 cores CPUs from this list. And the performance in single core was 1403 points. Shadow of the Tomb Raider TAA and the graphics, as you might guess, are set to the maximum value. Also, I will not run a boring benchmark, let's better run around the location. As you can see in this game, PC is doing quite well as well. GPU is loaded completely almost all the time at 98-99% of usage, and the CPU is resting and doesn't load above 70%, even in area populated with NPCs. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Here I propose to run the benchmark as usual, which I always use to check performance. I think it's not worth reminding, but here, as you can see, the settings are set to high. Upon completion of this test, in which quite different scenarios are showed, we get an average FPS in the region of 426 frames per second. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Quad HD resolution as in all other games. The settings are set to maximum. By the way, I almost forgot to mention something about memory. The RAM operates on its standard XMP profile with a frequency of 3600 MHz. Okay, with that said, in this game the FPS counter is 285 frames per second on average, and the maximum reached 381 frames per second. Watch Dogs Legion. Ultra settings, obviously without ray tracing. I didn't run the built-in benchmark, we'd better go for a run and ride around the city in a real game. As you can see from the frame timeline, the results are very stable, and on average we have more than 60 FPS. For such a demanding game, it's a great result actually. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, another demanding project for this testing. The quality of the graphics are set to the high. If you look closely, you will notice that the PC runs this game at over 60 frames per second with beautiful graphics and smooth experience. I'm amazed. Forza Horizon 4 Ultra graphic settings. In this scenario, the average FPS was 176 frames. You can really enjoy playing Forza on this computer. You can build this PC on your own. All the components and the prices can be found in the video description. Thank you for finishing this video, guys. Share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss the future uploads. Also, don't forget to write a comment because I read literally all of them. See ya, bye!